Guys, look what I have here. It's a tomato plant. Beautiful Rutgers tomato plant. So we are currently experiencing our last cold snap here in Northeast Florida. It's March 14th. Our estimated last frost date is tomorrow. So we are right on schedule, right on time climate-wise, and that means after this cold snap passes, we are going to be planting our warm weather tomatoes out in the garden. So I thought I'd take a few minutes as I'm going through my plants to let you know what kind of tomatoes we're going to grow in our garden this year. Okay, I have it down to just 8 varieties of tomatoes. So this year we're really focusing on production, and I'm going to give you the reasons for why we're going to grow each one of these, why I chose these for our backyard garden. So this Rutgers tomato is the first variety that we're going to grow in our garden this year. It is an open pollinated heirloom variety. That means that you can save seeds from it, and the next fruits, the next plants that you get will be just like the parent plant. So these are actually grown from saved seed. I wish I could give you the source where we originally started getting them from. I don't recall. I source seeds from all over the place. So, but these are going to be our first variety. Now we're growing these mainly because I know I can save the seeds. I know they've done well in the past. That's why I have saved the seeds, and because they are heat resistant and drought resistant. So in Florida, that's great. They're a nice big slicer tomato, kind of a medium to big, on the more medium side of a slicer tomato. So they're going to be a nice juicy tomato, not quite as thick-skinned as a paste tomato, but not very thin-skinned so that it's prone to cracking either. Now the Rutgers is also known as the Jersey tomato or New Jersey tomato. It's a determinate tomato. That means when it fleshes its fruit, it's going to produce most of them all at the same time. So you need to be prepared to deal with that production in your garden when that happens. And they make a nice round uniform fruit. So I can depend on that if we decide to do a mini CSA box this year. I'm actually going to take care of some of these tomatoes while I talk to you guys. So this is a Roma tomato I'm holding. This is the next variety that we'll be growing here. Romas are a paste tomato, which means they are we've got a little bit of bug pressure already, which means they are a thicker skinned, meatier fruit, not so much, they're not as juicy. Romas in particular are more of an elongated shape, about 3 to 5 inches. They kind of grow in clusters, like imagine grapes grow. So that's kind of cool. They're also a determinate, so they're all going to flush at the same time, just like that Rutgers. We like that for the purpose of canning, so that we're not pulling in a few tomatoes here and there, that they all come in at once within about a week's time, maybe 2, and we're able to put up some canned tomatoes on our pantry shelf. Now the next kind of tomato that we're growing is called the Park Swapper. I have to be honest, we haven't grown the Park Swapper in the past before. I got these seeds from I got these seeds from Urban Farmer online. This is the first time that I am using them for a seed supplier. I bought several different things all at once, and Park Swapper tomato seeds were one of the things that I purchased. What caught my eye about them, they are a hybrid, so they're an F1 hybrid. That is, I could save the seeds from them and I could plant those seeds, but I'm not guaranteed to get the fruit, the exact identical fruit as I would in the parent plant. And that's okay. I'll get something, but it's not going to be the same. And that's okay. I don't need to save seeds from everything anyways, even though sometimes it's just fun to do that. It's an indeterminate plant. That means the vine's going to continue growing until the plant dies, and so it's going to continue to fruit throughout the plant's life as long as it has good conditions. You know, it's not too hot or too cold and that kind of thing. I purchased this one because it was marked as disease resistant. It makes a nice round red fruit, and it's a giant slicer, and that it is crack resistant. So a lot of your slicer tomatoes that are real full of water and thinner skinned are prone to cracking. This one is crack resistant, so that's why I chose it, and we'll give it a try. If we like it, we'll continue growing it from year to year. The next tomato that we're gonna grow is the Bradley tomato. Again, I haven't grown this one before. I also purchased it from Urban Farmer Seed Company online. And I picked Bradley because it was noted as reliably productive. Again, I like the idea of a reliably productive plant if we're going to do a small CSA box. We're undecided yet how that's going to go for us, but if I have enough production that I can serve the community, then I want to have a regular occurrence of fruit coming in from week to week. So it's also marked as an open pollinated fruit. It's very seedy. So that might not be your thing, so know that, but that I can save lots and lots of seeds from that tomato to grow for years to come. It is noted as a semi-determinate, so I had to look it up and see what that meant, to be honest with you. I've only had experience with determinate or indeterminate, and I've been growing a garden for about 15 years, so I had not heard of semi-determinate. What that means is that it's going to give a couple of fleshes of fruit. So it's going to be smaller fleshes, but they'll be all at once. So they'll do that time and time again throughout the life of the plant. So that's pretty cool too. Next on my list of tomatoes is the black creme. The black creme is my favorite, all-time favorite tomato. It has such a deep, rich, sweet tomatoey flavor. So if you like the flavor of a tomato, you're gonna get that in the black creme, but it's got a great sweet. It's not a very acidic tomato by any means, but it still tastes tomatoey, if that makes sense. I don't know how to describe its flavor. Some call it a cross between smoky and sweet. Maybe it's got that deep richness to it that just is delicious. It's a nice big slicer, and it's a purple or a black tomato. It's not so black. It gets that black name from its darker color, which means that it's high in the anthocyanins, an antioxidant or flavonoid. Wherever the sun hits its skin, it will turn that deeper purple color. The black creme is an heirloom indeterminate tomato. I like it because not just the flavor, but I'm gonna get that fruit all season long until the plant dies back. Usually we lose our tomatoes to disease pressure here in Florida. The drawback to the black creme is that it is prone to cracking. It's a very watery tomato as far as a slicer goes, and then it's also very thin skinned. So if you have a rainstorm coming that you know of, or a chance of a thunderstorm in the afternoon, you need to run out and pick those almost ripe black cremes. They're really good tomatoes to let blush and then pull them in to finish ripening on the counter in the house. The last set of seeds that I started for our backyard garden as far as tomatoes go is a large cherry. Nothing fancy. We just love having cherry tomatoes. So we have several large cherry tomato plants. They're not your little baby ones, but a nice big golf ball size cherry tomato. We like those. We like to just snack on them. We like to quarter them up for salads, that kind of thing. So those will be great. Now the sun gold cherry tomato is the next one that I'll be growing from a friend. Once you get them started in your garden, they will volunteer and come back year after year. They are an heirloom, and they're an excellent, great little sweet cherry tomato. They're a yellow gold color, like an orangish yellowish, and they kind of have a hint of tropical flavor to them, but they are great and sweet. So they're a good little cherry tomato, one of my favorites to snack on raw in the garden. The last one I'm going to grow is the Paul Robeson, and they are very similar to the black creme tomato, so they're going to get that deep purplish color wherever the sun hits with those great flavonoids in there. They're a nice big slicer tomato. I believe that the largest tomato I've ever grown was a Paul Robeson, if I remember correctly, and it was something like 1.3 pounds or 1.4 pounds or something like that. They will grow very, very large under perfect conditions, so that's pretty fun. That's it. Those are the 8 tomatoes that we're going to grow in our garden this year. In the past, we've grown so many more varieties. This year, we're sticking with less varieties, but more plants for production. And I hope that we are happy with that. We can always change it later. So it's March here. We're getting ready to transplant our tomatoes straight out into the garden. We'll have our hot summer wave. We won't be growing much tomatoes then. And then we will start a new crop to grow fall tomatoes, and we'll do it all over again. So we'll keep what we liked and leave what we didn't, and maybe add something new. Let me know in the comments below, what kind of tomatoes are you growing this year? I always love to hear new varieties to me and what we should try next. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Happy growing. Bye-bye.